Yeah, so we've been looking at what we've been calling the anatomy of awareness, which is really a way of seeing if we can um, see some of the qualities of awareness. Yeah, it's a part of our experience that we often ignore, something that's constantly there, and yet often, for many of us, remains a thing that's kind of hidden in a way. We're not even conscious that we're aware and that we have this quality to our experience called awareness. And we've been exploring what it is that obstructs our capacity to come into a close relationship to awareness. And we talked about the mentally constructed parts of our experience that, as it were, overlay the natural capacity of human beings just to be aware and, as it were, see from awareness. Yeah. And we've been doing a few exercises to look at this, particularly in the body, the way that we have a kind of mentally constructed overlay onto the body, and that we don't necessarily see the body directly as it is. And as in meditation, the body is such an important focus of our awareness, because in a way the body or awareness of the body takes us away almost instantly from this living in our minds, in our heads, living in our stories. I've said this before, but the Zen, very famous Zen teacher called Dogen, talked about the body being completely beyond the world's dust, which I think by that he's meaning that the body in itself, in a sense, is already awake, as in the Buddhist sense of awake. So when we go to the body, we can have this sort of direct experience of a kind of awake awareness that resides when we're in contact with our bodily experience. Yeah, so we've been looking at the body, and we've been looking beyond, using these exercises we've been doing, the mental constructs. So I thought today we would just do a little bit more of that, do a couple more exercises, and then have a longer sit where we're bringing together all the elements of what we've been doing over the last few weeks. And I also wanted to say, after that, we're going to go into having a look at that aspect of awareness that is able to get absorbed in experience. So I imagine many of you already experienced this quality of absorption, and the mindfulness of breathing is the meditation practice that is usually associated with absorption. It's not the only way into absorption, but it seems to be that was the meditation practice favored by the Buddha, to become absorbed into what are called the dhyanas. And dhyana really just means absorption. And it seems that there's this quality, or this this possibility within our human experience to become absorbed in these mental states. And this has been discovered, it goes back way before the Buddha. So the Buddha did dhyana meditation. He learnt dhyana meditation from other teachers. So it was already around. So that's going back 2,500 years. So for thousands of years, mankind has known about this capacity of the mind to become absorbed. So we'll be taking a look at that. So what we've been doing over the last few weeks is relevant to this as well. So today we're going to be exploring a bit more this kind of energetic quality of the body that we can notice and experience once those kind of mental constructs are kind of out of the way. And this energetic quality is very related to Priti. So those of you who were on the Rains retreat, Dharmarati was drawing our attention to the quality of Priti through the meditations that he was leading and talking about. So Priti, which sometimes is translated as rapture, is a kind of energetic uprising. And it can be found in this tingling, energetic kind of quality of the body that we're going to have a look at today. And it's what's called a dhyana factor. So the two key dhyana factors are Priti and Sukha. So Priti, this energetic quality that starts to arise when we become absorbed, and Sukha, which is sometimes translated as bliss, but that can be a bit of a misleading way of talking about it, because it may not be bliss. Great if it is, but it may be just simply a sense of deep contentment and relaxation coming from the body. So in part of what we've been exploring over the last few weeks is this quality of Sukha. So if we're able to come into the body as the body, if we're really able to allow awareness to come out of the mental part of our experience and into the physical part of our experience, and many of you may have noticed this, there can be a deep quality of satisfaction and contentment coming into the body as the body. So this, you could see, is the start of contacting that dhyana factor of Sukha. So, what we've been doing over the last few weeks and what we're going to be doing today is drawing out these two qualities of Priti and Sukha, which are then able to be worked with, you could say, to go towards absorption in meditation. Okay, so I hope all that's clear. But the best way to become clearer about it is just to have a look at our experience. So let's set up for meditation now. So we're going to start by doing a couple of exercises. So we can just close our eyes. Just being aware of our experience as it appears. So what presents itself to awareness. There's our perceptions, hearing, sounds. There's our sensate experience coming to us through the body. Probably not much going on with taste and smell. Maybe conscious of the light coming through the eyelids. And then there may be all sorts of things arising with the mind. So the mind being a sixth sense in Buddhism. So like all the sense fields, it has its objects. Words in the form of thoughts, mental images, emotions. And all of this experience is known. There's something that is not the object itself that knows the experience, knows that we have sensations, knows sounds, knows that thoughts and images are taking place, knows that feelings are taking place. But also that knowing, that awareness in some way stands aside from whatever it is that arises in it. Not actually true, because in the end it's really non-different from what arises, but it is that which is being aware. So we turn our attention to the body. And this mobile, interactive aspect of awareness enables us to take our attention to different parts of the body. So, remembering our previous exercises, go to a part of the body and usually be some kind of mental construct that's helping us to isolate that particular part of the body. But then if we get into the body in and of itself, it might appear differently to the mental construct we have of it. So let's just go to a part of the body. Let's go to the thumbs. If you've got your thumbs touching, there's often a lot of tactile experience in that part of the body. So if we are able to hold our attention with the thumbs and sensate the experience of the thumbs, we notice that there is some kind of mental idea hanging around. It might be a kind of subtle mental picture of what the thumbs look like, or even just that word thumbs. So can we look beyond the mental description and see more closely the bare sensate experience? In this experience of what we're calling thumbs. One of the exercises we were doing last week was around solidity. So this mental idea of the body being solid. But how, in awareness, does the body appear? Do the so-called thumbs appear? Do they actually appear as something solid? Do they appear more like a kind of energetic cloud? That piece of blank paper where we try to draw what the actual experience is like. Does it appear as a solid outline, or is it more like a bunch of dots on a piece of paper? Not getting too caught up into this, just trying to stay with the bare sensate experience as it actually appears. So we may find that in awareness, what we thought of as the thumbs actually appears more like a tingling vibrational energy, with no real fixed nature to it. Just allowing awareness to move out from the thumbs and take in all of the body, and looking to see whether the body as a whole appears as something solid and defined, or whether we can also notice this tingling vibrational energy throughout the whole body. I also notice that there's a sense of that tingling vibrational energy being something pleasant. Not always, it doesn't always appear like that. That may be there. Okay, so we'll bring that exercise to a close. So, yeah, a bit chance to report back on that one. What did we notice? Diane?
Yes, I think it was your description of the thumbs with the dotted line rather than a solid line that gave me the impression of their potentiality as not blood and bones, but just a sheer possibility of doing things, of movement, of pressure. I can feel pressure of my thumb on the end of my thumb, the two thumbs. And that sort of focused the potential that is there came to mind. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, I guess it's all potentiality in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't sort of thumb shapes though. They had, the structure, the object had become more than the physical thing that I know exists. It was more of the energy and the potentiality in that object that I was aware of.
Yeah.
Doing that, yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I found. I think it's when he said about kind of something about the energy. I just really became aware that I just couldn't feel my thumbs touching each other anymore. There was just no sense of actually where my actual physical thumbs ended. I was just aware of the kind of energetic thing within my thumbs, but yeah, I lost all kind of feeling of where they ended and where they started, even though they were touching each other. It was just that all just go after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Things are not always as we think they are, perhaps, when we take a closer look. I mean, just to say, I mean, none of this is not going to kind of stop our day-to-day lives happening as they normally happen. But from the point of view of looking, it is trying to look into. It's a deeper looking into our experience, anyway. Yeah. Okay. Well, if no one else has anything they want to report back on that one, let's do one more exercise. So let's just tune back in with our experience with the body again. As it were, allowing awareness to just be this very receptive space that just takes in everything just as it appears. If we want to, we can go back to the area of the thumbs and pick up there again. Or we may be able to just notice the body as it is. And something of that vibrational, energetic sense of the body, the tingling. So we did this exercise before where we would look at the edges of the body. So let's look again to see whether we can direct awareness here and now find any distinct edge to the body. And we can do this by going to a particular part of the body. Lise was talking about the thumbs, and at some point it's difficult to see two thumbs touching. There is that two thumbs touching. It's the kind of mental construct of what is going on in that part of the body. idea of an edge. Or is it more like there's this vibrational energy? Some places in the body it appears as more intense. Some places in the body it appears as more diaphanous, more transparent, spacious. But if we can't find any distinct edges to the body, can we really say that there's a place where the body stops and what is supposedly not the body begins? So is it more like that there is just boundaryless, boundless sense of space in which something, a sort of energetic, vibrational nature is arising? With no noticeable edges. So just stay with what is here. At this point, we might want to construct mentally a space in which everything's taking place. So just being where that might happen. Perhaps we can say that there is this spacious experience that seems to exist seemingly within and seemingly without. But is there really any difference between the so-called inside and the so-called outside? So just drawing that exercise to a close. So a chance to just fall back on that one. Carol.
So that was really interesting. At the moment, I'm feeling like loads of different emotions all at the same time, and I'm trying to contain them. And to be offered the space, like, it like it widened the container in some way, and it's just like, maybe I don't have to hold this. Maybe it can be held in another space other than my body, which seems to be. And then, yeah, so just that really.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like, oh, right, okay. It just widened everything out.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Carol. Frank.
Yeah, the thing I noticed most of all was the difference if thoughts started to rise and take over. Without thought, or even just about, if thoughts were there but not taking over, then there was just, well, I don't know really. A few words came to mind to describe it, and they all sort of had to be got rid of because they didn't quite do it. But that sense of certainly having no boundary to the body and not really having a body at all, really, in a way, just a lot of sensations. And particularly when it's like that, whatever sensation I had of my body, I actually stopped at my neck. And there was almost no sense of having a head at all. Maybe because
finally, yeah.
I think my physical sense of my head is so closely associated with my mind and thinking that if the mind quietens, I don't even notice any physical sensations there.
Yeah.
But as soon as the thoughts started to come and take over, then everything went woof and in, and I was up here looking down on the body, and the difference between the two was quite remarkable, really. And sort of had to try very, very, very gently just to sort of ease away from that and allow the other to come in. But it's remarkably persistent once it starts, that thinking thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like this may be giving it too much agency, but it's almost like it, or maybe not, it's wanting to stop you from, because, we're looking outside of the mind's realm and control, or we're starting to. And I think it feels very threatened by that. And so, it'll try to gain the ground back.
I think my mind feels threatened, actually. Yes, now you say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Frank. Great observations. Hannah.
I had a really interesting one because, I think for most of it, I didn't really feel like I had a body. So what I sort of sensed was that, like the visual just wasn't really there at all, and there weren't really like words. and all thinking. Apart from, there was this one sort of bit which came up a few times, which was like, sort of like I had this like sense of being sort of embodied, but at the same time sort of dissolving. And when I had that, I felt like I was on the edge of something further than that, of that dissolving. And that's when it wasn't really thinking, but something came in and sort of stopped that going further. And it was really sort of interesting because it felt really like so sort of energetically charged at the same time. It was really like woomph. It felt like that. And then it was like, oh, something sort of stopped it or blocked it. But there was also this feeling of like, you know, I could hear the instruction. It was like, oh, but this is just how sort of how everything is. So it was like I couldn't really sort of do that because it was like there was nothing to do, sort of thing. So it was an interesting one.
Yeah, sounds it. Great. Yeah. We're interested in that, you know, that something that's coming up to stop.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it was like, wow, there's something beyond that that's cool. So now I have to not look for that or really go into it any further.
No, don't try to go back there.
No, exactly. Anyway, thanks.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, great. Okay, let's just finish with a meditation just to take us to the end of this part of the class. So we'll just, in a way, we're just going to kind of recap and go where we've already been. So that last bit of chat might have been quite stimulating. Just allowing that to just be there. Just something that's appearing within awareness. Thoughts, feelings, sounds, any smells. And the sensate experience of the body. So if we are caught in thinking, hooking from the thinking mind, it'd be helpful to, the energy is all up there in the head, to come into the sensations of the face, the jaw, like allowing awareness to seep out of thoughts and into the sensate experience of the head. Remembering the vibrational energy. So experience the space of the head in that way. Tingling vibrational energy in the face, the jaw. And noticing also there's a possible pleasurable aspect to that tingling sensation. And from the head and face, taking in more of the body in that same way. Notice if we can when the mind comes in and wants to make a shape or a construct, trying to get rid of that, just noticing what the mind does. And we can keep our awareness with the more energetic, vibrational experience of the body. You can ask the question about boundary, edges. And maybe that construct of boundaries and edges simply isn't there anymore. And you notice the spacious, unbounded nature of experience. Both seemingly within the body and seemingly without. and other aspects of our experience, sounds, right on the eyelids, any smells. So, or are they? It's vibrational energy within this unbounded field. Notice that the mind also wants to label and put a construct upon something like sounds. And also noticing just like the vibrational energy of the body, everything is in a state of constant movement. Edgeless, spatially, but also temporally.